for it. So overall, pretty happy with it. Not necessarily saying that we're world beaters. I think if we'd have played against anybody, and I mean anybody in the Champions League, they'd have spanked us.
Like Maribor, for example.
Well, Maribor didn't do too badly the other night, so
yeah.
But yeah, I think as a whole, I was pretty happy with it. So not perfect, but with the amount of injuries and unavailable players, I think we did okay.
Okay, I shall take that as a balanced view, as what it was meant, Pat. It was meant as a balanced view, and I'm listening to everything you've said, and I shall respond to that shortly. Martin Kelly, you're back with us now, Martin Kelly.
I'll be honest, boys, I missed 90% of what was said there, so...
Well, okay, disregard anything that Pat said anyway. We're talking about the game last night, Martin. The Dinamo Zagreb. Did you see any of it?
Look, I've seen bits and pieces of it. Look, we didn't play the best, but we won. And at this point of the season, when Ronnie's new and rebuilding, I'm actually just agreeing with Pat, especially with the players that were out. I was happy with it. I'd take it, and I'm happy enough with it. I'm not saying it's brilliant, but I think it's. I think the building of the team is a year-long sort of a project for it. So yeah, 4 points from 2 games, I'd take it.
Okay, Liam, I know it's difficult as well that you hadn't seen the full game, but as you said earlier, you've seen the highlights and stuff. Can you form a bit of a view on what you saw?
Well, I mean, it looked like a pretty mediocre game, and then you had that one chance and we won it. But at the end of the day, a win's a win, and 2 games into the European campaign, unbeaten. I think we would have taken that in hindsight,
Yeah.
So I really think, at this level right now, because right now we're not a Champions League team. We're just no there right now. So at this level, if we can perform and we can win games, then I think right now that's got to be good. Of course, we want more, but right now I'm quite happy with that.
Okay. Now, Jim, I've deliberately left you to last because we watched it together, but I don't know, was I influencing your opinions on it, or were you influencing my opinions on it? But what was your overall view of that game last night?
No, I don't want Andy to influence my opinion or my perceptions, and I'm still, when I left your house this morning, I thought, well, that's always a sign of a good team, winning a game but not playing well. But like everybody else here, I've seen Celtic play loads and loads and loads and loads of times, good games, great games, shit games, and you still, I can't get a disappointed how, I know there's a lot of players missing, Pat, but to me the main thing that's missing this season is the attitude, and I think no matter who's playing, as long as they give 100% and they try, then it's fine. And I was right behind Derry at the start. I'm still behind them, and I give you said, Mark, it can take a year or whatever, but I reckon 2 years, 2 years to build a good team, possibly 3 years. But is Derry going to get that time? I don't know.
I mean, being a Celtic manager, I don't think you get that time. You certainly go. You don't get that time if you're not showing steady improvement. Now, the most disappointing thing from my point of view, again last night, was I still do not see any improvement in this team since Dyla took over, to be honest. Yes, I recognise what you were saying, Pat, that there's a few players out, but the guys that you mentioned there, guys like McGregor, who I still think the jury's out on. I think the wee man's done very well, and I wouldn't like to be too critical of him because he's still a young guy and he's got a lot to learn. But there's been a lot of pressure put on that young guy's shoulders, and he's drifted in and out of games. James Forrest, I think we'll be lucky if we ever get 2 or 3 games a season out of that wee man because he's so injury prone. Some of the other guys, Skepovic, okay, we were missing him, but he's not exactly set the header on fire yet. I hope he does, and I hope he turns into the striker that we think he's capable of being. Guidetti, we knew was going to be missing anyway. The right back's definitely a problem because I thought Ambrose last night was lost so many times. He was caught out, he was misjudging, misreading the play. He was getting bypassed so easily down their left-hand side or right-hand side. And I kept saying to Jim, I honestly thought it was just a matter of time before they got a goal and potentially even went on to win it. In terms of the result, absolutely delighted, because as people that I spoke to before the game will tell you, I wasn't very optimistic at all that we would even come out of that game with a point or three, just simply because of the way we've been playing in the Premier League this season. But the goal last night was a superb goal. The build-up was exactly what we want to see Celtic doing, and I hope it's the kind of football that Dyla's trying to get us to play. It was a beautiful little 1-2 with Stokes and Commons. The movement was great. It was a quick pass. It caught their defence out completely, and it was a superb finish by Commons. But again, I'll be honest as well, Commons for me this season has been so disappointing. His first touch sometimes can be diabolical. Sometimes he just appears that he's okay when he's got the ball, when he's got time to think. If he's not got time to think, he seems to make so many errors, or he gets caught in possession. But again, it was a fantastic start last night. Can't say any more than that. But as the game went on, Zagreb grew in confidence, and into the second half, they were the better team by far in the second half. And when you look at the stats of the game, they had more shots at goal, they had more shots on target, they ended up having more corners than us. It says a lot that Craig Gordon was the man of the match.
Yep.
And again, if I was a Dinamo Zagreb fan coming away from that game last night, I wouldn't have been happy, because I think they deserved something out of that game. We only really created, from what I remember, the goal. I can't remember us having too many other chances other than that.
Well, the one that Commons could have passed to Stokes.
Yeah,
again, when the keeper tried to beat him.
Yeah, the Zagreb keeper made an arse of he was trying to pass it out of defence, gave it straight to Commons, who overhit a simple pass to
2-foot pass,
to Stokes, and yeah, I'm so disappointed. I think it's great that we're top of that table, but again, for me, it just papers over huge cracks in this team. Not just performances, just this whole team. I don't know if the players are actually buying into the Ronnie Dyla philosophy, or have they got it right on the training pitch. Because I saw an interview with John Collins on Celtic TV a couple of weeks ago, and they were asking him about the preparation before a European game, and was it any different to a normal game, and he says, no, I mean, it's still the same. We still look to get the quick passing, get the quick tempo. And I mean, these things are just turning into cliches, guys. All this phraseology, it's just cliches. We're not seeing it at all, apart from the Dundee United game, which I always revert back to as that little bit of hope. We're not seeing any of this in any other game so far this season. And it's, I'm just so bloody pessimistic right now about the next game that we've got against Hamilton Accies, who are above us in the table on Sunday, for crying out loud. I wish I had your optimism, guys. Again, the result itself was great. Performance, for me, it was bloody awful. But anyway, enough of that doom and gloom.
We are City supporters, faithful through and through.
I think one thing that the past few games have kind of proven to me is that how much we depend on the overlapping left backs and right backs, the wing backs, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a bit going on with I think with Wakaso, with Izagiri there. I like the attitude of Wakaso. I think he's a bit of a buzzball. He pressurises players and stuff, and I think he gives that a little bit of energy in the team that I think can sort of drag you through certain situations. Once he gets fully fit, I mean, he doesn't seem like super creative. Beat 5 players, get to the byline, cross the ball over, and all that sort of stuff. But he certainly added something to the team. They got a better balance out in the left wing. With the two of them there. And once they get a better understanding, I think that'll improve. The big issue we have is on the right side. At the moment, we've got 3 right backs injured.
Yeah.
Even if
Yeah, that's going to hurt any team.
I think we depend on them more than the average team. We've always, in my time, following Celtic, pretty much always depended on overlapping wing backs. So basically, guys getting past, whether it's Matthews using his pace or whether it's Lustig, and these guys are probably, in terms of like crossing the ball and actually picking a pass out, they're far better than what the other guys can do, or especially what Ambrose can do. So I think that's kind of part of the problem, is that once they're back, then you're going to have a better balance to the team as well, because at the moment there isn't really an attacking angle from the right. There's no sort of drag from there. They get to a certain part of the pitch, and then they end up cutting inside or like passing it back way. Once you get Lustig overlapping and actually getting the ball in there, then it opens up a whole sort of a new avenue towards goal and stuff. And whether it's Guidetti, whether it's Shepovic, whether it's even Griffiths coming on last night, whether it's guys like that, it's certainly going to help them, because at the moment the only service that they're really getting is from probably Izagiri and Castle, and the whole right side is just is so ineffective. It's it's frightening, but that's the situation we're in. It's how many times in fallen Celtic would you have not only the main right back injured, but the backup injured, and then the backup of the backup injured?
Yeah.
Not very often. So
yeah,
I think we'll be very unfortunate with that side. But once you get sort of guys fit, for me, people are criticising James Forrest, but when he's on form and he's fit, he's a good player. He certainly offers something to us.
It's not the same when they're on form. They're good players.
There's no doubt about that, Pat. I think, what game was it? Was it the bloody Leg of Warsaw game at Murrayfield, where Forrest was playing? I can't remember, was it that game, or it might have been the bloody Reykjavik game. But anyway, he did play one of those games at Murrayfield, and he was our best player. I've got no doubt that the wee man's got a lot of skill, but unfortunately, he's so injury prone that it's frightening, and we can't afford passengers in our squad at all.
All I'm saying is, we're quick to judge, and I'm probably the same as anyone in the past few weeks about Dyler. The fact is, really, how long can we stand this? But I think we have to give him that chance of having a fully fit squad, because at the moment he's shuffling things around, trying to suss out, and I've got a fair feeling that Lennon did the same thing. There was a lot of this when Lennon took over the team, of shifting players around and different teams every single week until he found what he perceived as his best team. So I don't think it's any different to what Lennon did. So it's just a case of him trying to get the lay of the land, and probably finding out about some players where they've got that, the whole attitude stuff, and whether I don't know if you saw the article during the week, the one, I think it was a Telegraph or something, about the fact that Dyler was asked about fitness and the whole thing about no fizzy drinks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and he's went off at the reporter and stuff, just saying this is just BS. If these players want to play in the Champions League, they have to act like Champions League players.
Yeah,
and that's what he's going to be sort of up against it in the dressing room. But look, bottom line is, if players don't buy into it, they'll be probably out in their ear. I would say you've got to, if they think they can just sit and eat chips and stuff like that for lunches every day, and that's going to get them into Champions League, then they need to think again. There's teams other teams have gone past that. They just don't do that anymore.
It's funny, Pat, you mentioned that, because I did see a tweet. I can't remember the journalist that sent it. I think it was Andy Coyle, for whatever paper he writes for, but it was something along the lines of, only in Scotland would a manager be questioned on saying his players need to get fitter. You know what I mean? They don't have to be eating chips. It was alluding to that kind of thing as well, just saying, if you want to play at the highest level, and you want to play the type of football that he's insisting we do, you've got to be fit. So,
also, this is again the media, right? And I remember, and I think it was either Advocate or like when he came into that dear departed team, he brought in you had to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the club, and it was all about nutrition and getting fitness. And he was getting, this guy's off the scale. It's brilliant. It's European. It's sensational. Yeah. We've got a guy going, I want you to stop it. And he didn't actually even, it was more, the boys just need to be fit. And I've heard a line, is it they need to be fit for purpose or fit to play football? Bottom line, they need to be fit. They're athletes now. This isn't 20 or 30 years ago where you could go and get a roll and chips and still play or go in the beer all the time. But again, what we're talking about the